Okay, this is another one where I'm going to put a video together to set the scene. Um, when I was going through restarting all of the access points that had been on longer than 100 days, I was doing it site by site, and I noticed a number of sites which had a lot of access points out on them. So, what I thought would be a good idea would be to be able to review where we have that high incidence of access points that are out, and presumably a negative impact on performance of wireless at those sites. And so, what I figured we'd want to do would be to be able to get some data out of Hivemanager, and then to be able to sort that in a spreadsheet, and ultimately generate a pivot table that would show us by school the number of down access points. It's actually turned out to be quite a lot harder than I would have thought. So, just to explain that, um, so I'm in the monitor view on Hivemanager, and what I'm going to do is I've actually removed most of the fields here, and you would see why. But I've put this in, and what you'll see here is that I've got this ordered by uptime, and I'm looking at 500 hosts per page. I actually have a filter on, so I want to remove that filter. Uh, I can just click on this again, it will refresh and remove the filter. Because we have about 15,000 access points here. We have 14,160. Okay, so my idea was, first of all, what I wanted to do was to select access points and then to export them. Okay, so let me save this. I'm not going to go forward with this. I just want to show you. Okay, so if I open this, it will open up in a spreadsheet. And what I was hoping, first thing you'll notice is that the actual fields that get exported are not the ones necessarily that are in the view. So if we go back here, I'm only looking at a handful of fields, but what gets exported are a lot more fields. But we have a couple of problems. Well, the specific problem we have here is it's actually hard to know which site a specific access point is at. Now, if we had the IP address, we could determine it based on the second octet, but we don't have the IP address in here. It doesn't export it. Okay, great. So then you think, well, uh, for every access point, we have set its location, at least at the level of a school, in the topology map. But the problem is that the topology map part doesn't work very well, because essentially the topology map thing is a tree, and you would have, let's take for example Bear Lakes Middle School. But if we had actually mapped Bear Lakes out, so we'd see Bear Lakes Middle School, and then we said Bear Lakes Middle School Building 1, and then we said the first floor, what we would have here would be first, and so you would have no idea which school this actually corresponded with. And you can see that this one down here, which is AHC49340, all we have in the topology map is second. If we go back over here, so C49340, well, that's 10.64. If we put in some additional information, we'd be able to see that. In fact, let's look at something here. If we actually restore topology map and we save, so C49340, this might change, the order might change here. Okay. So that's the conservatory at North Palm Beach, Building 1, second floor. So that's available in the monitor view, but once we actually export, it's lost. Okay. And the other thing you'll notice here, that when we went back, uh, the order of display changes, because we're trying to order based upon uptime, but these systems don't have an uptime, and therefore they don't stay in a strict order, and that's our next problem. So what I determined was that then, well, if I can't export to a spreadsheet, then maybe what I can do is I can just copy and paste the values out of here. Okay, so what I ended up doing was something along the lines of, I decided all I need is the host name, the management interface, I think I probably decided that I could cope with the topology map, probably take the location out, connection out, probably put uptime to the bottom, connection out. I would save that. Okay, so my idea was that I would select the full page. Okay. Um, and what I was going to do is I would select the first page of 500 and I would paste them into, so let me show you, give you a rough idea. I would select, I'm going to do Control C here, then I would go over to here. I'm going to come out of this. Let me wait. Let me quit. Let me do Vim temp. I'm going to paste these guys in. Okay, so my idea was I would paste the first page in, and then I would go to the next page. 1D0280. And you'll notice that what happens here is once you see an uptime, you know that that's a connected system. So I would select from here all the way to the top, and I would paste those guys in. I would cut and paste them back into the same file. But what I found was that when I went to the second page, a lot of the hosts that had already been cut and pasted from the first page were reappearing in the second page because the access points which are down are randomly ordered. So I actually found that I had lots of duplicates. So I was kind of stumped. So what I realized is that I needed to find a way of getting a unique set of hosts, of down hosts on a single page such that they would not duplicate. And what I came up with, if we go here, is I came up with the notion that, okay, we'll order them by uptime so that the down ones will show first. And what we'll do is we'll try and split them up by saying, let's have all the hosts that begin with 10.1. And here we have our page of 500 hosts. You'll see that there are 4,350 access points, I'm calling them hosts, which is approximately a third that have an IP address beginning with 10.1. And that I can go down here. Actually, interestingly enough, we're still on page 2. So what we have to do is we have to go back to page 1 there. So that's interesting. If you have page 2 selected, you get page 2 on your filter. So here I am back at page 1 of the access points that have a 10.1 dot something, or 10.1 followed by anything. So it could be 10.1 dot or 10.1 numbers. So here we are on the first page. And if we go down, before we get to the end of the page, we've exhausted all of the access points that are down that have a 10.1 address. So I get all of those, and I'm going to cut and paste those into my file. Then I'm going to change my filter. I'm going to say 10.2 and search. And again, I've got approximately a third. Okay. And I'm going to have to go all the way through, all the way up to 10.9, which would cover, and they'll be smaller because once you're above 2, the 10.3s are the 30s, the 10.4s are the 40s, and on and on. So that's the way that you actually manage to pull out the unduplicated down hosts. So I'm going to do that to create my file, and then I'll carry on with the video showing you, once you have your raw file, what you actually do with it to get it to the point where you can put it into a spreadsheet in comma separated values. Okay.